All right, let's get started. Hey, I want to start with a quote by Bill Johnson. He says, "A person's heart is more clearly seen by what they're willing to embrace without offense than by their expression of faith only in what they already understand." So what does that mean? He's saying the person who is able to be open-minded to new ideas, is actually, you can tell that more by their heart, right? Than by the things that they're closed-minded to. And that makes me think of a quote by John Maxwell, and he says that only secure leaders give their power away. And I want to talk about how those two quotes might intersect, because when you first look at them, you're like, huh? How does that work, right? So, we often talk about this idea of secure leaders giving their power away in a leadership lens where, you're talking about delegation, right? I'm secure that I can give this work away, that I'm still going to keep my job, that my boss is still going to like me if I delegate, right? Or if I empower somebody else to do that. But what about when it comes to having conversation? Or dialogues or chats, right? When you're having a coffee conversation with somebody, right? You're sitting at the table having a conversation, or maybe you're even on a Zoom. What does this have to do with that? So the one thing is, let me just ask you this question. I think I'm struggling a little bit because I really want to get into the deepness of this today. I really do not want this to be, Michelle coming on and giving you a couple teaching points and some examples. I want to be real with you today. Is it okay if I be real with you? Okay. So I've noticed this. I've noticed it not only, of course, on social media, where, quite frankly, there's not a lot of good social going on sometimes, but I've noticed this out and about in the real world too. Is this, I'm going to stand on my beliefs, and maybe you'll get somebody that you talk to that will allow you to do that as well. But oftentimes it's this, warring. We're competing. We always have to showcase our differences. Or, there's a dichotomy, good, bad, when in reality, there's usually so many more choices than just two. But for some reason, maybe our human brains can only handle the two choices. So I just have some questions for you today. Maybe more questions than I have answers, and maybe more questions than I have teaching points. So first of all, are you quick to put somebody down that doesn't agree with you? And it could be about anything. I mean, if you're in the home, are you quick to put somebody down because they changed the toilet paper and put it on the different way than you do, right? Are you quick to judge somebody by, where they put something away in the refrigerator, or how they cleaned up a mess? Are you quick to judge your coworker because they don't do their work in the same order that you do? Listen, I'm just being real. I'm just sharing examples of things that I've heard or I've experienced myself. Are you quick to accept a new idea or slow to respond? Now, again, that's a question for you to consider. I'm not saying one way is better than the other way. And again, I only gave you two options, but there could be more, right? The essence of what I'm trying to ask you to do is to really get in touch with yourself and say, when a new idea is given to me, what do I do with that? Do I immediately say, oh yes, I agree with that, so I accept it? Or do you immediately say, okay, do I agree with that? Do I not? And if I do, why? And if I don't, why? Okay, that is the idea of being open-minded. Not just that you'll take in all of the thoughts, but that you'll take in a thought and you'll wrestle with it a little bit. Okay? Do you stand solidly on your current belief, or do you leave room for more down the road? Okay? The person who can give their power away in a discussion is somebody that I want to talk to. Okay? So this idea that, we can be sitting down and having a conversation and you could say something and I go, oh, I've never thought about it that way. Right? I love that. And I'd love to talk to people like that. Okay? So if I say something and you're like, wow, okay, I never thought about it that way. That's the kind of person that I want to talk to. Not because I want to convince you of how to believe, right? I don't have to win any argument. Quite frankly, these days I feel like I'm never in an argument. It's funny because I think some people are inviting me to arguments and drama, and I'm just like, yeah, I'm not having any of it, right? Because I realize I don't have to accept all of those invitations to drama. Yeah? Somebody got that one. Exactly. So, just think about that for yourself. How do you conduct yourself in conversations? And again, I just have more questions than answers today, but out of all of these observations that I've seen, it's concerning to me that we're all about, well, this is my camp, and this is my belief, and this is, well, wait a minute, where's our common ground? And can you take in a thought or an idea that might not be something you've ever thought before? Okay? So are you secure is what I'm asking. Are you secure? Are you secure in your beliefs and also in your ability to accept a new idea? Are you strong? I don't know. You know you, right? Do you even know where your beliefs come from? That's a big question. Man, if you use our search engine option at any point and you write in beliefs, you're going to come up with a ton of information. And here's the thing, is that your beliefs, if we boil it all down to it, honestly, most of your beliefs that run your life, and this is backed by science, so it's not just something Michelle made up, are in the largely in the first 7 years of your life. Those are your beliefs. Unless you have been consistently and persistently on guard and accepting new ideas and really working on your own thoughts, which I hope many of you who are listening to our podcast have, but if you're not diligently trying to seek to change your beliefs, most of your beliefs came from the first 7 years of life. So you think back to the first 7 years. Are you okay with what came into your realm of existence at that point? Just a thought, okay? So how do you change your beliefs? How do you change them? First of all, you have to recognize this is my belief. It's not, I think a lot of people, they look at their beliefs and all of a sudden that's my identity, right? So I'll give you a great example. For me, I grew up in a Christian Baptist church, okay? That's the history that my mom and dad both had, and they got together and, they decided this is what we're going to do, right? So growing up in that church, first of all, I was born on Thursday and church on Sunday, okay? And whenever the doors were open, we were there, right? So think about how many times you might go to church in the first 7 years of life, okay? It becomes a way of life, right? But it's more than a way of life. It becomes your belief system and a part of your identity. Now, it's not just that I was in that religion, that denomination. It was also, I was in that church. And so, each church has their own kind of culture, right? And so you're indoctrinated into that. And here's the thing is if you go throughout life and you think, that those beliefs that came to me, that's the right way to do it, I don't know, but to me, you might be missing out on something, right? And I had to go through this change process for myself. I remember when I went to college, honestly, when I went to college, I was kind of like, yeah, finally, I'm done. I'm out of here. I'm not doing the church thing anymore. And then, ironically, the only friend that I had on all of campus was very heavily involved in a student ministry. And so I jumped into that because that's where all my friends were going, right? And, slowly over time, I began to develop those thoughts and beliefs and ideas for myself. But you see, that was a Christian apostolic Pentecostal church, which if you know anything about that movement, almost the exact opposite of Baptist, okay? I learned a ton, but it was really that moment of having them, help me wrestle through ideas, new ideas, okay? I had to stop taking offense to, this is what you believe, and start taking that in and saying, well, what do I believe, okay? And then, make another twist here in my life. I got married, and at that time, my husband, he is I like to tell people he's an 80th generation staunch German Lutheran. Okay, there's definitely a culture behind that. And so all of a sudden I find myself Lutheran, right? And depending on what church we go to really depends on what that definition is, right? But the reason why I'm telling you this is because over time, I have developed this pattern, not just believe whatever, the new church that I go to says. No. But to really look at what this new church says and say, well, how does that mesh with what I not only believe, but where I'm going in life? And when a new idea comes to me, I am secure enough and I trust myself enough that I can look at that and I can say, I can figure out what to do with this. I don't just immediately dismiss it, but I do wrestle with it a little bit. Okay? So what about you? Are you secure enough to give your power away? Secure enough to accept a new idea, or at the very least to accept this idea of struggling through it and maybe accepting it? Okay? So I can tell you this, that most people are not, and they typically need a little bit of help with that. So if you are one of those that you're like, yeah, I'd love to be more open-minded, I just, for whatever reason, I can't get there. Let me tell you, this new course that we're just launching, I know I mentioned this a couple nights ago when we did our live call, but we are talking about the self-image and mastery and really understanding yourself. So what beliefs do you have? Where did they come from? Where do you want to go? And are those current beliefs going to help you get there? So it's a structured way to really help you struggle through some of those thoughts and beliefs and make a change. So if you're interested in that, I would hope that you follow the link and see all the details, see if it's right for you. I guarantee you, if you come and join us, you will not miss out on that journey, okay? Awesome. Hey, thank you so much for joining us today. Go out and make today a beautiful day. As you see behind me, it's very sunny. It's a beautiful day. I definitely want to get outside and have some time outside today. So I hope you do the same, and make sure that you go and you bless somebody else today, okay? And I guess one last thing, I'm going to add this on today, being inspired to give you this thought. Do you have somebody in your life who you know is a little less secure, and when you have conversations with them, they definitely cannot accept a new idea? If you have somebody in your life like that you think might be just even a little tiny inkling ready to hear somebody else's voice, would you consider sending them this podcast or this video? Would you consider that? I think that would be really helpful. And then just have a conversation with them. Don't tell them, hey, Michelle told me to tell you. Just say, hey, I was listening to this. Okay? All right. Thank you, guys. Hey, with that, I release you into the wild. Go forth and prosper. Have an amazing night, and we'll catch you soon. All right. Bye-bye.